Hey everybody, welcome to the video of the steps I'm going to try and take to get the Cadillac engine started in the Allard for the first time since it's been rebuilt. So I've got my little checklist of things, sort of my pre-flight checklist that I'm going to have to run through to do things, including priming the engine again. I'm going to pull the plugs, of course, out so I can turn it over easier and stuff like that. So we'll see how this goes. Don't have necessarily great hopes for the starting up the first time, but we'll see how it goes. So let's see what happens. The first things I need to do is reprime the engine, get the oil flowing. So I've disconnected the line to the oil pressure gauge, and I've got this push me, pull you kind of suction thing that I've got an adapter on the end that I can screw into there. And that'll let me force oil down through the oil passages to the heads and things. And then I can actually try spinning the engine over to see if I get oil pressure. So that's what my next step will be. Okay, so I've got some break-in oil in my tube here, and it is hooked up down to the engine itself. So I'm going to go ahead and force this through the oil passages. That'll put oil to the heads. And make sure everything's primed up, and then I can actually try spinning the engine over and see if I get any oil pressure at the gauge on the dash. So I'll go ahead and push this in, see what happens. Okay, so I got the engine primed. I've got the oil line to the gauge hooked back up. So we're going to crank the engine now, see if we build oil pressure. So here we go. There we go. All right, that looks good. That looks good. That's one big step forward. On to the next step. All right, now that we have oil pressure, I've hooked up my little IV tank here to the fuel line. I don't really want to put a bunch of gas in the gas tanks right now because it's going to be a while. So the next thing I'll do is I'll try and spin the engine and see if I get any fuel being pumped through the fuel pump, the mechanical fuel pump, and that'll be the next step. And then once we got fuel going in, then I can actually dump a little in the carburetors too, and we'll see if we can actually fire it up at some point. Very cool. Simply opening the gas, let it flow to the filter. So it's full. So that's really encouraging. Next thing will be, I'm going to take the air cleaners off, and we'll see what happens here pretty quick. Okay, so fire extinguisher at hand. Actually going to see if this thing does anything when I try to kick it over. So just in case we're videoing it. So.
Yes.
Here we go. Key on. Oh, helps if I tighten down the battery disconnect. Okay, try this again. Key on.
Dude.
Oh, ho, ho!
Dude.
One more time.
Almost alive! Whoa! High five! High five!
All right, so I just wanted to start it real quick and see what would happen. It actually runs, which is actually amazing.
First try.
So I don't want to run too long. I've got no fluids. I need to add fluids to the radiator stuff to check for leaks, and then and do some more testing. But I'm pretty stoked about this one. That's pretty cool. So another major accomplishment. Bye all. All right. So as you heard, it actually runs. It sounds a little loud, so I got to check that out. I need to spin the car around and get it so I can actually run it out the door and without killing myself with exhaust inside of here. I'm going to put coolant in the radiator, check for leaks, see if everything's working there too. So we'll get to that a little bit at a time. But I'm extremely happy that it actually fires up and runs. Haven't timed it or anything yet, just did some static timing to begin with. So yeah, that's really encouraging. So on to the next step here, and we'll see what happens. Next thing I'll do is get it out there and run it a little bit and see if I can figure out why it's making a little bit too much noise. I don't know if it's the valves need some adjustments or what, but I'll check into that as I get a chance. All right. So working on the 1953 Allard K3, got the rear clip temporarily installed. as I was looking over it, I noticed there's still a couple areas that need to have some work done before I can actually mount it for final. Typically just right down here, there's some areas that split needs to be fixed, and this lower portion needs to be fixed before I can actually mount it permanently. And there's a couple of other areas that I think can be done with the body back on the car. But I do need to get some of that stuff taken care of before I mount it for the final time. So in the meantime, what I'm gonna do, like I said, I've got it temporarily mounted. I'm gonna go ahead and get an exhaust system custom made for it. I needed the rear clip because I needed to know exactly where the pipe's gonna come back through the rear valance on the body here. So I can take this off to a local shop. We're gonna make the custom exhaust system. And originally, actually at that point, I could actually try to fire up the engine. I'll run a temporary gas tank to it so that I don't have to actually put gas back in the tanks themselves and let it sit for a long time while we finish everything up. So that'll be the next major task, is trying to see if this will even start. So we'll just see how it goes, but next, time to go off to an exhaust shop.